Hello, welcome to another Hour of Devastation draft. Today looks like it's going to be a spicy one. We got Nicol Bolas. Not actually sure if he's good in draft, considering he's 3 colors and 7 mana, but I mean, you got to take him, right? He's just sweet. His abilities are all very strong, especially in limited, and his starting loyalty is so high that it's really hard for your opponents to kill him. So we're going to take him and try and concoct a sweet 3-color deck. Hope to wield this Crypt of the Eternals or a Traveler's Amulet, and we're going to go from there. Okay, here we have Riddle Form. It's interesting when you start out in 3 colors, because your picks get pretty open. So Riddle Form I think is probably what I'm going to take. I like it in the more controlling, mostly spells type decks. It can usually hit for quite a bit of damage, and the Scry can, it's a combo with Nicol Bolas, because it helps you find Nicol Bolas. Other than that, I'd probably take like Wretched Camo for some early blocking, or like a Magmaroth, but I like Riddle Form. We need as many cheap plays as we can to survive until we can win the game with Nicol Bolas. But if you can cast him, he's very strong. So probably we'll take like Manaliths if we come across them. Any type of mana fixing we can get. Unfortunately, he's not green because we could use green mana fixing to cast him. Hazard's Undying Fury cannot cast Nicol Bolas, so we won't be taking that. Out of this pack, we have a Merciless Eternal, which I think is good in aggressive deck, but not so much if you're trying to build around a Nicol Bolas. There's Countervailing Winds, which is pretty nice if you can get a lot of spells into your graveyard. Other cards, Moaning Wall and Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs are pretty good. I think here I'm just going to take the Countervailing Winds. It's just fine, and it, especially in the late game, can become just a hard counter. And when it's not good, you can always cycle it away. If I wasn't taking this, I'd probably take at this point, probably Strategic Planning, but I would like to pick up some walls at some point. Having 4 toughness is pretty big in this format, because a lot of the early 2-drops attack for 3, and Gust Walker and the one that gets Death Touch are a lot rarer now. Okay, so in this pack, I think we probably just have to take the Manalith. There's not much else exciting for us. Not going to be playing Fraying Sanity, as sweet as it is. If I see a first pick, maybe I'll take it, but definitely just going to take Nicol Bolas here. Or, with Nicol Bolas, just going to take Manalith. That's what I mean. Okay, here we have a Desert of the Glorified. These packs have not been particularly good. Desert of the Glorified, cycling's kind of nice. Lethal Sting, just a good removal spell. And Survivor's Encampment if we want to, have better mana. Here, I think I'm between the Desert and the Lethal Sting. And given that we probably won't have many creatures, I'm going to take the Desert first. It allows us to take Unquenchable Thirst more highly as well, which is pretty nice. Oh, okay. Maybe with 2 Manaliths, maybe we can go just into like a sweet 5-color deck. Not taking Imminent Doom. It would be a lot better if it started on 2, but you have to play a 1-mana spell, which are usually pretty bad and limited. Beneath the Sands is fine, but we're not green yet. And these cards are better in aggro decks than anything else. So I think I'm just going to grab a second Manalith. Probably it'll free us up from having to take so much mana fixing later on. So that's fine. So here we have Wildfire Eternal, which I have not been very impressed with. Desert of the Fervent, which, it's just nice. It cycles, gets value. Sandblast for removal, and Tragic Lesson. I think I'm going to take the Desert. People don't seem to like Tragic Lesson, but it would be good in this type of a deck, especially with these Manaliths, so that the bouncing a land isn't that much of a drawback. So I'm going to take the Desert. Wow, that is a late farm to market. I'm going to snap that up. With these Manaliths, we can, splashing won't be too hard, and I think it's better enough than another Tragic Lesson. But getting that card pretty late, maybe I'm overvaluing this, but it seems quite good. Okay, here, Crypt of the Eternals wield. I'm definitely going to be taking that. Gaining life is nice, and it can filter for all of our colors. So our mana is actually looking pretty decent, despite being currently a 4-color deck. Here, even Reed Stalker is just fine. Moaning Wall might be good enough. I'm actually going to take the God Pharaoh's Faithful. It can definitely, in some matchups, gain us a ton of life and is a decent early play. Like if you play it turn 1, it gains you 1 life. You know, assuming you're playing 1 spell per turn, it's gaining you 1 life a turn, and it's blocking like a 2/2 or 3/3. So it's kind of like a 1 mana gain, you know, 8 or 10 life spell, which is not terrible if you have a lot of card advantage to back it up, which we have Nicol Bolas, so. Ooh. Okay. We got some picks here. Majestic Mirach. I don't know how to say that. Unfortunately, probably not very good in this deck. Doomfall I would definitely play. Unquenchable Thirst I would definitely play. But I think here I'm just going to take the Sunset Pyramid. We just need some decent card advantage engines. And this is one of the stronger ones, although it takes a lot of mana. But we have 2 Manaliths, and our mana looks pretty good, so playing this early and then just sitting back and killing creatures seems like a pretty good plan. So I'm going to take this and be pretty happy about it. Hope to wield one of those removal spells. But here we have Banewhip Punisher, one of the premium black uncommons. Kills anything, hard to play around, and if you can get extra -1/-1 counter shenanigans, it gets even better. Aside from that, there's like a Desert and an Unsummon, but this card's great. Okay, out of this pack we have Abandoned Sarcophagus. Not super great right now. I have like, I guess I can play the Deserts from my graveyard, and I can play this Moaning Wall, but I don't even want to put it in my deck. We have 2 good sideboard cards if we want to play those. A Blur of Blades, but that gets a lot worse when you're in a defensive deck. So I think I'm going to take one of these sideboard cards, and given that Chandra's Defeat is an instant, I'm just going to take that. Okay, here we have... There's another Desert. Imaginary Threats isn't very good if you're defensive. Even if Enduring Hope could be nice. Gaining 3 life is pretty good. And a 5 mana 3/3 flyer is not terrible either. I think it's either that or this Desert. And we have 2. Maybe I'll just take the 3rd Desert. Just get a very strong mana base. Okay, we gotta start taking some relevant spells. Strategic Planning I think is the pick here. We already have Chandra's Defeat. We don't really need 2. I mean, I'd take it if there's nothing else. But Strategic Planning, we need some early plays. This puts cards in our graveyards for countervailing wins and helps us sort through, you know, if we have mana and we're just looking for spells, the filtering is pretty nice. Ooh. Okay. A River Hoopoe. I think that's better than the... Like, this card is quite good. And if I have 2 Manaliths for the splash, I think I might actually take it and just... Look, we're going to be probably 5 colors. Unfortunately, passing a Manalith here, but... This card's quite good, and I'm missing out on, like, a Desert or a countervailing wins, so... You know, if we end up being able to play it, I'm going to be pretty happy. Given that we have 2 Manaliths, I think here I'm just going to take a Traveler's Amulet. Then I can find, you know, if I play like 1 forest, this gives me an extra green source. And Manaliths are kind of expensive, so having like 3 in your opening hand is not great, whereas having a Traveler's Amulet could be good. So I'm going to take that. Here we have not much. Seer might be a decent blocker, just a 1/4. Pretty decent toughness. Although Hostile Desert, we have 3 cycling lands. I think that has a higher enough upside than the Seer that I'll take it. Not sure I'm playing it. Ooh, we wielded Doomfall. I'm deciding if that's enough better than Rune Rat to play, because it, like, this card's great if they have like 1 big creature, but if they have a lot of little creatures, this card's not very good. Whereas Rune Rat comes down a turn earlier, and I think given how contested our 3-drop slot is, I'm just going to take the Rune Rat. Maybe that's crazy. No, I'm just gonna take the Doomfall. It's an uncommon for a reason, right? Okay, this pack, I think Scrounger of Souls or Gideon's Defeat. I think Scrounger of Souls is better enough to take, and I don't want to have too many white cards. Lifelink's pretty relevant, just helps us stay alive. Here, Liliana's Defeat just as a good sideboard card. Steadfast Sentinel is not terrible. Again, trying to minimize my splashes, but we're kind of solidly in like 5 color monstrosity. Although with no red, I didn't see like any red this draft that was good at least. So that's interesting. We need some better removal for sure. Gideon's Intervention is not amazing. Lord of the Accursed is better in an aggressive deck. Weave of Currents is good mana ramp, but it doesn't fix our colors, and we don't need that much colorless ramp. We just need some good colored spells. Fanbearer is okay if we're in white, but like the odds of us casting a turn 1 or even an early turn Fanbearer is not very high. Horror of the Broken Lands is quite good. It cycles early, and we can play it on 5 for it's a pretty big blocker. So I think I'm deciding between that and the Heckma Sentinels or maybe this Fanbearer. But I think the Horror is good enough, given that we have 2 mana lists and a lot of, Traveler's Amulet. We'll probably have enough mana to cast it. And 4/4 is pretty relevant stats in this format. So I'm going to take that. Still kind of disappointed with these packs so far. We need some better removal. Okay, Honored Hydra is actually quite good. With double Manalith, we can play it easily. Well, not easily, but we can play it. It's very strong. Maybe we can pick up like Gift of Paradise or Hieroglyphic Illumination. But it's the strongest card in the pack, and it's pretty easily to splash with just a green. Ooh, Sandworm Convergence. That might be going too deep. I think I'm gonna pass. This card is very strong, but I can't double splash. Like getting a single green is pretty easy. Hitting double green is pretty hard. And we already have a pretty good late game with Nicol Bolas that I don't think we need 2. So as much as it pains me, we're going to be passing that card. Here, I think I'm just going to take the Crop Skirmisher. Being a 2/1 with Embalm, pretty good play on turn 2. Helps us stay alive, and we can always Embalm it. I'm deciding if that's better than this Doom Dissenter. And given that we have a lot more blue cards, I think it just makes our mana better if we stay consistent. Another Fanbearer of note, but yeah, early plays are nice. Ooh, Sweltering Suns. I will probably take that. 3 damage to each creature is exactly what we're looking for. Helps us stay alive, to cast Nicol Bolas and big cards like Honored Hydra. So, very glad to pick that up. One board wipe in decks like this is pretty fantastic. Here, I think Soul Stinger is a very good card, just often a roadblock for all of your opponent's attacks. And not missing much else. We're not like a Crocodile of the Crossing deck, but definitely taking the Soul Stinger. Okay, this deck's starting to shape up. The mana might be hard to make work, but if we can make it work, this deck's going to be quite good. And I think Scattered Groves might be the pick here. So we have 20 playables. And this gives us green and white. And it cycles when we don't need it. Deciding if that's better than like a Dune Beetle or like a Tormenting Voice. I think it is. Maybe we can play 18 lands in this deck given we have a lot of cyclers. Ooh, Pyramid of the Pantheon. Yes. Okay, that's kind of what we're looking for. Gives us a pretty reliable filtering source, and then just ramps us up to our high drops pretty easily. So definitely going to take that card. And this brew is looking to be pretty sweet. Okay, in this pack we have a Temet, which is much better if you're aggressive, which we're not. Trueheart Duelist, which I think might actually be the pick. 2/2 for 2 that can block additional creatures and has Embalm. I think it's just really good, pretty hard to come by. We probably won't be casting it on turn 2, But given that, you know, it seems like we'll be able to find a white source by like turns 4 or 5, this card can be pretty powerful. So here we have maybe just a Heckma Sentinels or like a River Serpent. Otherwise we can get a Oashra Cultivator. But we have a lot of plays on 3, so I think I want an earlier play. River Serpent is big. Yeah, I'm just going to take the River Serpent, I think. Actually, we have a lot of cycling. These Sentinels might be pretty good. Ooh, Gift of Paradise is perfect. Helps fix our mana, and we're passing up on some other plays, but... Well, actually, do we need this? We're going to be pretty light green, right? We have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green sources. But I think it's... Maybe that's too much mana. I'm going to take the Quarry Hauler. My deck doesn't have actually many card advantage plays. We didn't get any of those. I forget the 3 mana you bounce a land, get cards back. That would be really nice in this deck. Unfortunately didn't find any. We're going to take Doom Dissenter. Just a pretty good early blocker. Winds of Rebuke. Probably not playing it, but it can be fine. Pouncing Cheetah is better than Flameblade Adept, but I'm not playing it. On-Crop Champion's pretty big. But I think it being double splash is just too hard to cast. Alright, this deck is sweet. Notice I didn't say good, I said sweet. So here's our lands. We have 25 spells. And yeah. I think given that I have all of these cycling lands, I want to play at least 17. Even though we have like Traveler's Amulet, Manalith, Pyramid of the Pantheon. We have some pretty good mana sinks with 2 Eternalize. Farm to Market also helps discard extra lands. River Hoopu helps us draw cards, and then, you know, if we hit 7 lands, we can just kill them with Nicol Bolas. So this deck looks pretty awesome. I don't know if it's good, but it looks pretty awesome. So I have a card to cut. Quarry Hauler I think is too medium to be one of our splash colors. And other cards. Steadfast Sentinel. Being double white on the Eternalize I think is enough where I'm not going to take it. So we have 23, we can play 17 lands. And I want to play 17 because one of our lands is colorless. And that might seem aggressive. But we have like 1, 2, 3, 4 cyclers. So pretty often this will be just a creature land, which is really nice in, you know, formats. This deck, these games in this with this deck are going to go pretty long. Okay, figuring out the mana base is going to be rough. Our early plays are mostly blue, black, and red. Almost all of them. So, let's see. White and white, farm to market. Okay, so add basic lands. Okay, so I don't think you guys can see this window, so I'm sorry, you can skip to the next game, but I'm trying to figure out my lands right now. So we can add 11, and we want sort by color. So blue and black are pretty tied. Nicol Bolas will have enough mana to cast him. We have 2 green spells and 1, 2, 3. Right now 3 green sources, right? 1, 2, 3. And I guess Pyramid of the Pantheon is 4. So with Traveler's Amulet, if we put a 4th, that makes it 5. How many blue do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue. So if we add 4, that makes us have 9 blue. How much white? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 white. What I'm deciding is I don't know if I want to play like a basic plains for just 2 white sources, given that I have the scattered groves. But it makes Traveler's Amulet much better if I can get one of my splash colors. We have how many red sources? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red. Just for 2 red spells. Okay, so I think just playing 1 mountain is fine. So what does this look like? This mana base is all over the place. So we have sort by color again. We have 2 white spells and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 white sources, which is more than enough. Blue we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I want that. 7 blue, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blue. So that's pretty good. Black we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Maybe we can even cut a black source? Actually, our mana base seems pretty solid. And we have Liliana's Defeat and Chandra's Defeat, plus God Pharaoh's Faithful, which I will bring in aggressive matchups. Yeah, I think this is actually how I'm going to run it. Alright, see you guys round 1.